morning, guys. Namaskar. As I think it's the beginning, and Web3 needs a lot more enthu, and it needs a lot more questioning, a lot more interaction. I was sitting and listening to the AVs there. So I think it's a great start. Thanks, Business World, for putting Web3 there. And it's a very nascent space, just the beginning. Some of the guys who were more risk takers, they started thinking about it 4 or 5 years back. A lot of people have started talking now, but the whole karma will get built over many, many years to come. And I think these are the starts, multiple ignitions, which are going to happen. And thanks, Anurag, thanks Business World for hosting me here. I was reading this transforming commerce and currency. I think the fundamental part of Web3 is community. The primary difference between Web2, which we have all experienced and we have really lived, is the centralized state of mind. And we were just having a chat in the speaker lounge, 1984 George Orwell ad. And 84, it said that there's time to kind of break the things, create a new state of the order, create new network states, create new nation states, create new frameworks. And I think fast forward many, maybe 40 years, give or take, it's a time to kind of really reimagine how we as communities are going to stay, communities are going to form, how states are going to form, how the nation's boundaries will get blurred. And I think that's where the Web3 really starts. That's what I really want to kind of really present to you. And when you want to kind of really create and unlock new communities, it starts with an individual. And when it starts with an individual, go back to the basic things. What really kind of drives me? I really need security, which is manifested in forms of earnings. I need a feeling of self-importance, fame. I need some kind of control, and I need to be loved, I need to be connected. I think these are the fundamental things which really drive an individual. An individual is the epicenter of forming communities, the new things. And if you can really enable it through a framework which is beautifully offered by blockchain, because it's essentially what it does. It puts your history, your micro history on chain, which is immutable, which is transparent to everyone, which is interoperable across the world. Why am I emphasizing on transparency? Why am I emphasizing on interoperability? Is there anyone who is not on the total Facebook universe comprising of WhatsApp, Meta, Insta? You will all be, we all are part of that Truman Show, right? And that Truman Show beautifully collects everything, and that was supposed to be a fiduciary platform holding our information, where we are the custodian of that information. But are we really the custodian of that information? Does any one of you think we are the custodian of that information? It really belongs to the platforms, and we are all Rangmanch ki dos Katputliyan, which is roaming around in that huge Truman Show and contributing every activity, adding to the monster to keep feeding data, and then the monetization really happens. Now, that's the centralized platform curse, which was unleashed in last 10 years, 15 years. And we believe that that's where the decentralization really can happen. The word there is, can we give back the ownership of your history to yourself? Can we really make it truly decentralized? Can technology really enable that Manish owns his own data? Manish owns his own power to say, what data do I want to put up? Does Manish have the ownership of that information, like we have ownership of house if we have purchased? And can Manish use his own desire to really unlock the power which resides in data to make money for himself? These are the fundamental questions which need to be asked from first principles perspective when we talk about Web3, when we talk about decentralization. And that's where the communities really come together. The communities come together as heterogeneous people with different affinities, who have the power, who have the governance, who have their own systems, because no centralized system can really be the most efficient. It is never created for local optimas. It is created for global optimas. So you will never be able to kind of create a very, very sustainable systems. And that's history is replete with those. And that's where we believe that Web3 is nothing but a community stack. And whosoever is going to be a practitioner of Web3, whether from an operator point of view, from a builder point of view, from a legal point of view, from a policy point of view, from government interaction point of view, we need to understand that this is a new way of working as communities. There's a new way of really understanding. You need to have the data with the individual. The power lies with the individual, not with the platform. And the platforms really scuttle that power by creating closed ecosystems. And that's where the interoperability comes. Your data is your data only when you can take that data outside. If it is locked to a Meta ecosystem, it's locked to a Google ecosystem, it's locked to a game ecosystem, then it's not your data truly. You are living in a fool's paradise. And if your data is transparent to everyone and it is immutable, people will trust you. So the access of individual's reputation, access of individual trust are the building blocks of micro communities. And that's where the community stack is really going to be formed. And all of us who are going to be building about these platforms over next decade or going to be shaping the narrative have to really think from first principles of what is our problem statement. How do we really kind of create that freedom, that azadi? And that's what we need to really look at. And once we look at that, many use cases emerge. Unfortunately, the narrative today in Web3 is equal to speculative trading cryptocurrency. That's really, really, guys, very, very small aspect of the whole thing. There are so many use cases which emerge from the community stack, which are inclusive, which can create socio-economic impact at scale. And one of the things which we are working on, how do we really give that azadi to gamers? How do we really make them a reputation? How do we really make them earn their disposable time and skill in the whole IndiGG DAO? And DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. That's what we are building. It's the new way of functioning organizations. It's a new way of really running communities, operating businesses. And that's what is going to really happen more and more, enabled by community stacks. And we believe that India could be really the right and center of such thinking mindset, because we have really we know how to run panchayats, how to run very decentralized organizations, at least on paper. And if we can really take them in letter and spirit, we can really drive this whole adoption from first principle, both from a community point of view, consumer point of view, as well as builder point of view. Thank you. I'll not take much time, and thank you for inviting me.